Hi, congratulations for claiming your ultimate checklist for determining the development potential of your property. This simple guide is going to take you through the process of analysing the development potential of your property to see if you can subdivide or put a granny flat on your property. So there's likely three main conclusions that you'll come to as you go through this checklist. You find that your property does have some subdivision potential, so you can subdivide your property and sell this backyard for cash. Your property can't be subdivided, but you could put a granny flat on your property and generate cash flow each and every month. This is another opportunity to profit from your backyard. Or you find that you can't do anything with your property. Now, if you determine that your property doesn't have the potential for either subdivision or a granny flat, but after discovering the criteria, you realise that you know someone who could, then share the love. Make sure you share this link with them to claim their free checklist. We pay a $2,000 referral fee for any project we sign up, so make sure you share it with them. This guide is going to be broken down into two parts. The first part, we're going to take you through the process of determining if your property has subdivision potential. In this process, firstly, we determine the requirements that you need to meet to complete a subdivision, and then secondly, we find out the specific details of your property, and then thirdly, we go through our ultimate checklist to determine if your property has a subdivision potential. The second part is going to determine if you could put a granny flat on your property and generate rental income from your backyard. This opportunity has become much easier to determine since in 2009 when the New South Wales Government released the Affordable Housing Scheme with guidelines that determine if you can build a granny flat that overruled council regulations. This part contains a checklist outlining the requirements for putting a granny flat on your property. So let's get stuck in. Can you subdivide your backyard? The first property we're going to analyse is subdivision. To subdivide your property, you need to meet certain criteria. But what makes it super confusing is that the criteria that you need to meet can vary from council to council. So this process involves going through a few steps that is going to help you discover the requirements in your area and then determine if your property meets this criteria. So to determine the council's requirements for a site in your area, we're going to go to our trusty tool, the New South Wales Planning Portal. When we go to this, we're going to enter in our address. So let's enter in an example, just agree to the terms. Let's just enter in an address and we search for it. So now the address is going to come up and it's all lovely colour coded, but what does that actually mean? So we can see here that there's a little R2, but we need to know what R2 actually means. So we're going to click on planning layers, and then we're going to click on minimum lot size. Now that tells us there pretty much the main information we need to know, which is for this property, our minimum lot size is 700 metres squared. Okay, so I can close that down and we can see it again, but we've now determined what our minimum lot size is. So the next thing we've got to do is to determine our property details. Now there's a few ways to do this. If you don't know your property land size off the top of your head, it's on your purchase contract when you purchase the house, or there is a free online tool called On the House. Just a warning, On the House doesn't have every property, the data of the land size for every property, but it does have some. So let's check out here and I'll demonstrate. The one that we just searched up, it doesn't actually have in this one, but I'll just show you. So when we click on it, it doesn't tell us the land size. But in certain properties it does. So let's check another property. And when we select that, it does tell our land size. So it's worth a search as a first point of call. Now the other thing that we tend to use is a paid tool called RP Data. And this is a very good tool, but it's quite pricey, and we run a search through that on the property that we're looking for. So I'm going to run that same address that we looked at the beginning. So 7 Millers Way, West Pennant Hills, let's have a look at that. And when that comes up, we will see that here we got our lot size is 4,000. The lot size for the majority of addresses is in here. So if you don't have this tool and you don't know, feel free to send us a message through either the Facebook Messenger or our email, and we're happy to run this search for you and tell you what your block size is. Okay, so now we've got our two main requirements, which is our property details and our council requirements. We can go through our checklist to determine if you can subdivide this block. So the first condition is that you have a block size greater than 2 times the minimum lot size in your area. So what does that mean? It means our minimum lot size that we established here was 700 metres squared. And now we've got a block size of 4,000 square metres. So there's definitely ample for that, maybe even more. But before we know that, we need to look at some other things, but that's the first checklist. Secondly is side access. Do you have a minimum of 3 metres side access along one of the side boundaries of your property? Because the property needs to be able to get access to the back. So this one here, there's actually a driveway there that goes up the side, so that is prime, it's perfect. The alternative without side access is actually if you've got a back lane or a corner lot where you can access the property from a different location. That's great as well, sometimes even better. Next thing we've got to look at is the slope. Is your home sloping towards the front or the back? Does it have a really steep slope? So big slopes can make it difficult to build on. Councils can actually say that you can't build on something with a certain percentage of slope, so make sure you check on your requirements for that. A slight slope towards the street is perfect because it's easy to tap in to the street systems. If you're going backwards, you may have to either have your own drainage stuff, which is extra cost, or talk to neighbours. So you may need to have a land surveyor examine your block to determine what the slope means for you, but that's a general guide. The next thing is the current house position. Is your house sitting at the front of the block or possibly right at the back where you could subdivide it in half quite easy and still have plenty of space? The next thing is bushfire and vegetation considerations. So as you can see in this one, there's a lot of vegetation, and we can also, back to our trustee planning portal, in our planning layers, it says there's an option for bushfire prone land there where it tells you the categories. Okay, so the vegetation category, a bit of information about it. Okay, so now we can see that half of the block is in that vegetation category 1. So it's quite severe. So there may need to be considerations there, and you may need to get a consultation from a fire consultant to tell you what that means for your block. Now, if that all sounds too confusing or complicated, we are happy to conduct a free analysis for you. So book in your free consultation with us. You can schedule a time to actually talk to us about your property, and look, we can discuss the criteria, we can discuss your property, and also the process involved. So some examples of suitable blocks. So there's obviously the one that I've just been looking at as our analysis here. That's a perfect one. This one here is another one of a corner block, so we can see that there's separate access there because it's on the corner. Or this one here, this is what we call a hammerhead, where we come up the side and have it behind the property. So what now? Did you discover that your property is subdividable? That's awesome. You could be sitting on hundreds of thousands of dollars of untapped potential. But what do you do now? To turn that into cash, you need to do a subdivision. And this process will cost roughly $50,000 to $100,000. Maybe more if there's additional considerations such as retaining walls, drainage, and other contingencies that may crop up. The process of a subdivision involves applying with council, preparing the block for sale, organising your contracts and design engineers, organising the civil works, like clearing the site, drainage, retaining walls, and organising services to the block, including stormwater, sewage and power, and then getting clearance certificates from each body. You then need to organise the access to the site, including the driveways and fencing. Are you up for the challenge? If not, as many people aren't, we would love to help. We partner with you in 2 ways. The first option is project management. If you have the funds to complete the project, we can take on the coordination of the project for a flat fee, and you can then sell the block yourself. The second option is actually a joint venture. In this scenario, we fund the entire project for you. We look after the whole thing, fund it all, and then we sell off the block. We bring the time, money and skill to complete the project for you. And then we share in the sale proceeds of the black block when we sell it. So if you're interested in working with us to help you subdivide your property, then book in a free consultation with us right here at this link, and we'd love to have a chat with you. But the other option we want to analyse and quickly explore is the potential of a granny flat. If your site isn't big enough to subdivide, you may still be able to do something with your block to get your backyard working for you. So the criteria for a granny flat is a bit simpler. You just need a minimum lot size of 450 metres squared. So we still need the information from previous in terms of our current block. No existing granny flat. So you can only have one granny flat on any block. We need site access as well to be able to get up there, but we actually don't need to have off-street parking there. Like, we just need to be able to get to and from it. So sometimes that can actually be less. Minimum frontage of generally 12 metres squared. So how does your property fare up? Is there some potential to put a granny flat and get cash coming in each and every month? Turns your backyard into a money machine. Bushfire and flooding may affect your ability to build a granny flat, or the cost of it, as you may need to use different materials. But some other granny flat standards to be aware of is that the granny flat can be no bigger than 60 square metres of floor area. You don't need to have off-street parking, as we mentioned. Minimum of 24 square metres of courtyard space. And our setbacks, our side setback of 0.9 metres, so just under a metre, and a rear setback of 3 metres. So how does that actually look? As we can see here, this is a property here. We can get to it from the side. We've got 3 metres from the back and 900 either side. So this is our building area, and you could have a granny flat up to 60 square metres internal space under that. You can have pergolas and carports outside on top of that 60 square metres. So, are you able to put a granny flat on your property? You're welcome to book a free consultation with us here, and we can discuss some granny flat options with your property to help you generate some money from your backyard. Now, if you discover that your property doesn't have subdivision potential, you can still profit by referring us to your family and friends. If you know someone that now maybe has a subdividable block, or they could put a granny flat in their garden, we offer a $2,000 finder's fee for anyone that refers a project we sign up. So send them this link to get their own checklist and get them to book a consult with us. We hope that you got a lot of value out of this and understand your block and local council a bit more. And hopefully your property has some potential and you can start getting some money for it. Thanks for listening, guys. Take care. Bye.